Hello, everybody. We are live. I'm currently in a trade short. Just also was in a trade short in my combine. Just took it off. I'm debating. I really want to hold for this low, but I don't want to be too greedy. I've taken a couple losses in this account as well. Um, and as I move the take profit way lower. But I don't know. This is kind of it's a great trade. I feel like it does kind of make sense to see where this one wants to run. We had the divergence with YM and the other indexes here on the highs. So that was kind of what prompted the short here. Also, I'm not feeling incredibly well today, so I'm most likely going to be kind of cutting the stream off really early today. But yeah, so essentially was just looking to get short the 5 minute fair value, or excuse me, I think that was a 5 minute. And it was early in the morning, an earlier trade. Yeah, 5 minute fair value gap. That was breakaway. Typically not my favorite setup, but if you look at the 15 minute, the draws were so obvious, like these lows, this fair value gap, and then these lows. Obviously, once 9 o'clock or 9:30 opened and I saw the acceleration, I decided to kind of hold on for the ride here. But yeah, and it was kind of the same story with the combine. Just kind of tried to get in sync with the same move around here. Or excuse me, like it was more like above here. I was short. So yeah, that's pretty much the day. And then we have CPI tomorrow. So this is like all like sell the news trade deal stuff, I think, from the overnight session and whatnot. You have Dow starting to slow down. I really do think once NQ takes this low, it's probably a smart move to bounce from the trade. What I'm really happy about here is that it takes our balance right back to a positive balance. We were floating a negative balance from last week. We had two back-to-back $500 losing days, which was annoying to say the least. But you know, it is what it is. It comes with the territory. Topstep data issue showing I'm up here, but realistically, there's a wick lower. So just gonna hold real quick, see where we're at. Okay, there goes the puke through the low. And it's a pretty swift reaction. I will give it that much room after taking that low. So wick comes immediately up here. I think it should probably save this high if it's just going to continue to fall down. So we've locked in over 150 points on the move, which is a great move. See if ES wants to come down and play catch up with NQ and see where NQ can take it. I'm about eyeballing the midpoint of this huge fair value gap, 15 minute from London Open, or around London Open. And I was actually pretty close to that. So 2708, I was at 2704. And if it wants to give me that before it takes my stop, awesome. If not, whatever. I actually am kind of contemplating taking the trade off here, although it's a little late now because we were at 340 and 60. That would have been an even $400 day. It practically erases a whole losing day, but it's okay. 375 will do. And then like that's it. I'm not really going to be taking any more trades today. You have, like I said, you have CPI tomorrow. There you go, 375. You have CPI tomorrow, and this range is already to me like kind of overdone. I guess I can hang out. Maybe I could take some trades on the combine, but yeah, that sucks. Look at us, got kind of ticked out, but don't really want to chase anything lower. And we've just not that I really look at it too much, but we just tapped into view up as well with that move lower. Now you have divergence, and I feel like I kind of got lucky on this move down. So if you look at the structure, it's really not a structure that I like to trade on the on NQ whenever it makes these kind of weak looking highs, these very flat top highs. Um, Again, I'm torn. Like for the downside, it's probably not great to see those types of things, but for the upside, I think it's okay. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna rewind here. Sorry. Let me actually. I never even pulled up my YouTube, my stream, so I don't know if anybody's talking to me. So sorry if you are, and I'm not ignoring you. I just haven't looked. My brain's like a little foggy today. Sorry. I'm pulling out my phone. I don't even know what I was doing. Sorry, guys. I'm just a little under the weather today. Old FF. I had a feeling you guys were in here. Viraj and Old FF. What's up, guys? How you doing? Sorry, I have to close the volume. What's up, guys? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend. Um, hold on one second. My buddy texted me too. I have to reply to him. Huge puke down. Want to play Clover? Uh, we missed you. What's up, Backtest? Missed you too, brother. Contemplated like not even coming up today and streaming. I was so sick of this crap from last week. Just ridiculous, you know? Just ridiculous movements, like no follow through. Even even like this was like real sus. Like so anyway, I don't love this type of structure, yada yada, you understand what I'm saying. But what I was saying was I don't like when the I think it's okay if the when you're shorting it kind of leaves these types of structures because I think the bias is always up long term. So whenever it makes these highs, I'm okay with that. But when it makes these types of lows, I don't like to see that. I think that's like they're very targetable because the market doesn't have a downward bias. The market has an upward bias long term. So you typically, basically what I'm saying is like we're more likely to trade away from flat tops than we are to trade away from flat bottoms. Flat bottoms are more likely to get corrected in the short term. Flat tops are less likely to be corrected in the short term. But anyway, it was a tough trade to hold on to, but I really was like, what do I mean, come on, it's just been a rough week. I've had it like a what do you have to lose mentality, and I also knew that like if the trade worked out in my favor, it was going to be a very good trade, and I was positioned like pretty much towards the top of this move. You know, it was like pretty much right here was my entry, where I had averaged into it a little bit. I'd gotten initially short here, averaged a couple more after I saw the flat top, and then kind of held on, took some partials, like quickly, just because again, I don't like that structure, but it was a very difficult hold, you know, because then you have 9 o'clock opens, right, manipulates up, starts to immediately fall down. Then we retrace pretty much that whole entire move, sweeping this high, coming right back up to here before 9:30 open. So it was like this is just like not optimal conditions, um, and it's kind of expected, you know, because you have the day before CPI, have that big trying to trade deal. You know, you have all these things that are kind of going on, and you have these huge movements as it is, but really it's just thankfully like structure and draw prevailed, and that's typically how I trade. So as you know, you guys aren't new here. Sorry, I'm like constantly clearing my throat. You know, you guys aren't new here, but you know you understand that like a lot of my trading is I'm just targeting uh, um, logical levels. Okay, like one of the best videos I think ICT has, and I think is slept on that nobody really watches, but like completely is foundational to my trading, and that actually kind of helped me like figure out like how I was going to trade was Bridges, the Bridges series. I think that's what it's called, Bridges. Sorry. Hold on one second. I'm going to look it up because essentially, Bridges is all about ICT. Okay, Bridge Builder. Bridge Builder. that was the lecture that I think really helped me. Okay, and just in a conceptual sense. Okay, Bridge Builder. Bridge Builder is probably by far one of the best ICT from what I can remember. Okay, it's like don't go back and watch and be like you're a psycho, you didn't get it. There's no value here, but there has to be because essentially what that series taught me or what that lecture video taught me was I don't need to understand um, daily bias. Okay, I don't need to know that. All I need to do is be able to build a bridge. Okay, between 2 points. So essentially, it starts with, you find a draw, and then you're just building a bridge to get to that draw. So what was my bridge? My bridge is usually, and that's typically how I'm thinking about, price, and not necessarily a specific model. That's why I don't have a specific model. I just have an understanding of how the PD arrays work, and then obviously just like simple premium discount stuff. And then you're just looking to get involved. You're looking to build the bridge from one point to another. So my bridge was to these lows and then to hopefully this low. We came down, left it short, more generated like engineered liquidity, comes up into the 5 minute gap, have a little stop run, immediately shoved down, comes back up. I mean, so this is your bridge. You know what I'm saying? Like this reaction is your bridge to get to here. So like from in perspective of a model, what kind of setup would you say this is? This is model 2022, right? Sweeps the high, displaces down back into the range, closes below the low, displaces below the low, right? That took the high, comes back into a fair value gap, probably above 50%, or it's just at 50%, above 50%, and pukes down. So that's your, sorry, print screen. So that's your 2022 model, right? So yeah, like this could have been anything. This could have been an inversion gap and no 2022 model. But what I'm saying is like the logic is just where do you think, like, where's a likely draw for price? And then how do I get on board once the market hints at, well, yeah, sure, hints at the fact that it's going to go there. Typically, I'm a little early on trades because I don't need the hint that it's going to go there. I'm just convinced that it's going to go there. And if I see a point that would make logical sense for it to start to go there, then I'm getting short. That's why I was shorting up here and averaging in and then adding in here. So I'm not necessarily waiting for a model to present itself because I'm just trading areas. Like in its raw form, it's essentially like I'm trading support and resistance. But yeah, I don't know. That's my that's my advice is that the Bridge Builder ICT Concepts Overview video is probably one of the best if you're struggling with how to put it all together. And that's probably the closest way I can explain how I trade. Because what he talks about in that video too is like more um, like you could just trade fair value gap to fair value gap, internal to internal liquidity. So I don't know, like I think that's probably the best way to think about it. It's the simplest way to think about it. It's how I find a lot of my trades. It's why I don't really worry too much about daily bias. Everything that I do is mainly, um, smaller time frame, smaller structure. And if, look, it's all fractal too. So essentially, what I'm seeing is like, okay, well, if this begins to work out, well, then I have kind of the larger draw to the downside here, at these kind of equal lows. And it's all on smaller time frames, but you get the idea. And like that's how you can kind of snowball your bias into a larger trade. Because essentially, realistically, this trade was only built on these lows up to here. So essentially, the original trade was just built on this point of interest down to these lows. I mean, it's still a huge, like that's plenty. 87 points is a lot of points. Especially if you're trading some size. You don't need a ton of like I traded one. I was down to one micro contract runner, and I'm finishing the day 375. Yeah, it took a monster move, but my risk was what? I don't know, 10, 15 points. So come on. Also, I don't focus on R too much. I know if I'm on side, I'm usually have a good RR. It's just my hit rate is not extremely high just because I'm trying to catch these points of reversal. I'm trying to catch the smart money reversal most of the time. Yeah, I don't know. So, but yeah, and then obviously once 930 completely crushed below this level, I'm going to hold it, a little bit, because then you have the next logical, like what is the next logical level? This fair value gap, right? Discount, impulse range. Sorry, let me just doot. 1 minute. Blows through that thing, right? So we're still holding. Now it's like, okay, well, seems pretty clear that we want to take this low. And I'm using some other stuff, like, at that point I see the VWAP is below this low, and I know other traders are looking at that. It doesn't have to necessarily be my cup of tea, but I know that it's just another draw on price, right? Because if there's interest in the level, I don't care what made the level interesting. If there's interest, market's most likely going to go there. So then you see that we have the rejection. We come back up, reject, and then it's like you just hold. That's it. That's my soapbox. I'm done. This account's been a crazy back and forth. We were like up 1,000, down 1,000, or yeah, what was that? Like down 800, up 1,800, then flat because I lost a G on Friday after just getting absolutely owned. Yeah, last week was a really difficult week. Also, it was kind of comforting though. Like over the weekend, on that Friday, I saw Kane. I don't know if you guys follow Kane, like Trader Kane, the dude that took like $1 million out from Apex or 1.3, like who knows. And even like Justin Wehrlein or Werlin, I don't even know how to say his name. He's a cool dude though. All these dudes were getting smacked around by this market. And I don't they say misery loves company, but it's not really about that. It's just about I consider my trading very close to what those guys do in terms of like usual models. Like a lot of those guys, like they trade very similar to me in terms of SMT, like smaller time frame inversions, and just kind of catching towards highs and moves, like taking shorts above highs, longs below lows, that type of stuff. So when they were getting kind of crushed as well, I mean, look, I don't want anybody to lose it. I want everybody to win, but it kind of helped me through last week because there came a point, like a lot of times in trading, and Umar Ashraf actually, who I don't follow, but I've seen a couple of his videos. He's an options trader. I don't know if he trades futures now, but he does really. He created TradeZella. But Umar spoke about feeling like an imposter. This was maybe it was like a year and a half ago or something, and at the same time, like in trading. Psychologically and mentally, it's a trip because the amount of uncertainty you have and the amount of randomness can really like mess with your head in terms of your confidence. And basically, what he was saying, he was like, like sometimes like I wake up and am I just getting lucky? Like you hit a dry streak and you're like, have I just been getting lucky this whole time? Is any of this real? Like you know what I mean? It's like it's a major brain melter because you just it's tough, like there is no way to know for sure. I mean, obviously that's why I really drove to ICT concepts because there's so much repetitiveness and things make sense logically. You know what I mean? Like and things do work out almost perfectly. Like when they're correct, they really, really work. Like to the T, like I can see it, before it happens. So that's beneficial for like my head. But still you'll have weeks like last week where I feel like I traded no different than I ever would have. Sure, was it a little aggressive in size at times? Yes. But that wasn't because I was pissed I'm trying to get it all back in one shot. That's just because like if I really, for example, if I really believe it's going down here, right? And I get stopped out once, twice, 3 times, okay, after holding a position, I'm not going to think that I'm wrong. I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh, it's, it's very high resistance, and this next trade I'm going to continue to hold, because why would I take partials on this one now? I'm either going to get stopped out at even again, or it's finally going to work this time. So of course, I pack on size, because each over each stop, over each high, each time I get stopped out, the more confident I get that the next high is going to be protected. And so unfortunately, it just didn't go that way on Friday, and I got kind of smacked around. You have SMT on these highs, well, as it went back into the 5-minute fair value gap. Something to look at, see if it wants to retrace into the midpoint of the 15-minute gap. And then if we move this real quick, yeah, 15-minute gap and about the 1 hour fair value gap midpoints are relatively in a similar spot. But anyway, so yeah, so Friday was like, one of those days where it's like, do I even know what I'm doing? Like, is any of this real? And it's tough. Like, and it's funny because it seems like you're just getting it wrong after wrong after wrong after wrong, right? And but then I have to kind of remind myself, like, just that's why this stream has been really helpful. I'm gonna say like 70% of the streams have been like good streams, where like I'm kind of like, it's you instantly see me pretty much win, or they're all winning days. The calendar looks good, but my bad days are like, rough mentally, and just the size of them can be not so great. So like a day like Friday really kind of messes with your head. So yeah, that's all. I'm back. Needless to say, I'm back. I also like kind of want to trade this account a little more aggressively. Like I was also thinking, I was like, what am I like? Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. But anyway, I was thinking, I was like, I kind of want to trade the XFA a little bit more aggressively. In terms of my size, like, just because I think about like, what do I have to lose? You know what I mean? Like, investment wise, like real money wise. Like, why should I let all these great days, like 40, 50, 60 point trades, be like worth almost nothing? So that's something to experiment, but I know why I trade the size that I do already. So it's kind of like and I've had this conversation with myself before. Um, like I know why I have the size that I do on this account, and it's because I recognize where there are days where I may not get on side the first try, the second try, or the third try, and if I'm doing that with large size, I'm chalked. And then if it's going to go to the target, like it sucks. Like the way I think about it is I can always size up later, but I can't size up. I can't be too heavy too soon and have all the chances in the world. It's just not where the account is at. If the account had $5,000 or $10,000 worth of drawdown, that's another story. So I don't know. I'm kind of in between. I'm in between those two ideas. Oh man. So yeah. You also have had some news with China over the weekend, right? So we had the trade deal. I'm pretty sure. So all reciprocal tariffs are taken down at 10% between both countries. I have to read up a little bit more on it, and it's just a 90-day pause. So it's a start, and I think the market likes that. But I think they're also opening up China will take a while to paper, says Trump just now. I don't really know exactly what he's talking about there. It'll take a while to paper. Does he mean like get on, like contract sign? Because that's not a great headline. I'll try to figure out more. I have my guy that I talk to. I'm not gonna say his name, because I'm sure he doesn't want me to say it, but I'm sure he doesn't want any fame. But he's a really smart dude, really smart bond trader guy. Um, Big understanding of how the market works from a macro perspective, and just kind of inner market perspective. So I usually talk to him about all the questions I have, and that's probably one thing I'll ask him later. Is what's the real deal with this China deal? Oh my God. But yeah, so that's kind of it, guys. I don't really have too much to say otherwise. My day's pretty much over. I mean, I don't think I'm trading this account anymore. So yeah, the real trade was probably to take the SMT up here. That was like kind of a low risk, go for it. After this candle prints, probably just get in, risk this high. It's most likely how I would have traded it. So let's just say candle candle closes. That's a little bit bigger risk than I want, 27 points. But the target would be all the way down here. So ROI is sure, but you know, not really how I think about things. So yeah. How's everybody else doing, man? How are you guys? You guys have a good weekend? Like, what's up? Who's still in here? I think the other good news too is that I think this brings me over like 3 winning days of 100 or something, or of 200. So I just need a couple more days before I become like payout eligible. Obviously, I don't have any. Like I have 78 bucks. So, and yes, if I do 2 more days of $200, then I have around 500 bucks, and that's 250. But we're at least gonna try to take 500 out before anything really gets too crazy. I think ES may want to come down into this low, or at least these lows. That would give me an opportunity to short NQ into, like, I think that's a weak low on NQ. No, I'm not crazy about that sort of action on the 15-second chart. 1 minute candles data still whack. I mean, like clearly there's wick over here at 793. Now it finally shows, but what are you gonna do? So I am trying to be a little bit careful here, but just because of the SMT with the ES and NQ here, and then Dow obviously very, 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 very far ahead in terms of upside. Looks like I'm getting some flow tweets here. Tesla maybe. Tesla calls coming in all above ask, sweeping for about over 7 million in total position, I think. So that's pretty bullish. I just said something. So, yeah, maybe no shorts, guys. I don't know. A lot of bullish flow coming in. And again, I do think that this high is bullshit. Excuse my language, but I do think it's BS. Just a very weak structure. And up here, very weak as well. What is this, you ask? Well, it is I think it's a daily high or something. Yeah. Daily high, 4 hour probably high. Yeah, a bunch of 4 hours. Huh. 4 hour candle. Yeah, I feel like it kind of makes sense for us to dip below this low at least, right? From the 4 hour perspective. Just kind of think it, and then maybe go higher. See if it wants to go to so Trump is speaking right now, so it's probably not optimal conditions. Dow finally starting to kind of give way a little bit. I think it's definitely got to come down, take these lows. It also has a lot of weak lows here. So Dow has a lot of weak structure on the downside, so if it just wants to start to play catch up, it makes a lot of sense. It's a pretty strong move to the downside. Realistically, not looking to fade that. So if anything, looking to get on side with it. Just got short again. Just looking. So after I see the S&T on these little highs here, you have that aggressive move to the downside. I think you have Dow that could move lower. I think the 4 hour as well can go lower. I just realized that's like a pretty large stop. It's like pretty much today's whole profits if it goes up there. That should be pretty ugly. Oof. Meh. Give it a shot. Give it a chance. Give it a chance to work. Like I'm thinking, does it want to come up and take the 15-minute high? I may have just completely hosed myself. Added a couple or 5 more realistically just to see if I can get myself out of the mess. If not, it's not really too much more money to try it. Yeah, it's okay. There goes today's move. I'm just looking here because it seems like the S&T is gonna carry us into the 15-minute high there. So just kind of waiting. Slightly surprised at Dow, like just building up all these lows. I wonder what's going to be the tipping point. Yes to above this high. See if NQ wants to do the same thing or if it wants to get shoved again. The E will have to pay more for healthcare, says Trump. I don't know what the market's going to say about that. I don't think it really cares too much right now. Good news is that pharmaceuticals should get cheaper for us, which is nice in the US, because our pharmaceuticals are stupid expensive. Oh, you know what? I wonder if the biotech's probably getting wrecked right now. They have to. I'm gonna look at that actually. The biotech index. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I'm forgetting what it is. Where's biotech? XF. I think it's X something. XLB maybe. Biotech. XBI. There it is. XBI. Oh no, XBI gapped up. Wow. Well, maybe because of the trade deals, but I would assume XBI should not do too well if drug prices are going to go lower. Probably kills biotech. Anyway, let's go back to where we were. So ES just swept that high, I believe. Not yet, almost. The day's going pretty good, Barrage. I've Caught a great short in my XFA from the high, like all the way up here, and took it off right around here, I think. Um, Other than that, I mean, we just kind of got wrecked on. I'm actually going to lock this out so I don't accidentally trade this one instead of the combine. And then we were up also around the same 375, but just kind of got rinsed on this trade to the upside. And I'm kind of debating if I even want to get involved on downside anymore. I'm not really sure if I can get a good move off of this. I may. I want to see some sort of SMT though. Otherwise, we have SMT on these lows, you know, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out for me for downside. I think it makes sense to risk that 15 as like a preemptive short. Like if the SMT is going to be between these two highs, it makes sense for me to kind of get in there and go for one there as it reaches back into the 5-minute and the 15-minute there. Let's move this way down. It's a strong move back up, which is a little scary. I like that there's a fair value gap to possibly save me there, but it doesn't look super fun. I'm gonna just trim one off as I'm uncomfortable in the trade. I also didn't get the best ad. I was looking for somewhere to be somewhere up here. I hesitated just slightly. Yeah, the 1-minute wicks are not incredibly positive, but I just want it to work now because if not, it's kind of like the right idea for a scalp, but not the right idea for a longer term trade. So after it swept these equal highs, I want it to just completely turn around and not revisit because I did see these as like a potential issue. These are also a potential issue, but after sweeping and tapping back in, I'd rather it just kind of go down. What is my stuff? I put it to here. That's fine. There's bullish SMT Barrage Engineer. Yeah, I do see that. I'm just kind of I'm feeling it out right now. Other Barrage. Sorry to call you other Barrage, but Barrage was first. Barrage was here first. But yeah, I see the bullish SMT. I'm just kind of getting out a few here just to even out my flatten out my positions here, give myself lower risk on this trade. But now I'm kind of counting on the SMT to be up here and possibly want to take us down into the 4-hour low. Virage, new Virage. Retta, what's up, Retta? How you doing? Good morning, good morning. So yeah, we've essentially de-risked the position. It's pretty much free, excuse me, even if we get stopped out here for a loss. So right idea, a little bit of, good, Retta, I'm glad you're doing well. So right idea, just a little bit of uneasiness and took off a lot of the size, which is annoying, but I don't know, hard to trust myself. I think it's probably the right move anyway. I'd like it to really accelerate after that sort of rebalance here. Let's see if we're right. What do we make here? If we're correct, what do we take? 580. We're pretty much like back to where we were. That's why it was stupid to take the other trade. How was your morning trade? It was good, Brett. I took a nice short from the top end of the range up here all the way down to here. So it was a nice one on 1 micro. Well, initially there was more than 1 micro, but we found Obviously, you know me, I was a little sketched out. I don't trade before the morning bell most of the time, so it was a little hairy, so I took off a lot of the size. How many do you copy trade? I really don't copy trade. I tried copy trading one time when I had the discount, and it did not work out very well. It was just a rough day, and I was like, well, there goes, you know, a lot of money. So I don't copy trade really at all. I take one account at a time. So far that anticipation trade works out really well. It's definitely a scary trade to take though. And for a second I was like, you know, you might be wrong, especially after it was acting. It was, in hindsight, I guess it was just all fear, but it worked actually pretty well right away. I just didn't like where I was filled here, and I feel like I added a little bit aggressively. I feel like it's responsible to partial. Dow's finally starting to show a little bit of speed. If Dow wants to continue lower, I mean, I'm happy to let it run just a bit. Oh, listen to yourself. Yuck. So, I mean, it's nothing really attractive from a upside trade perspective. Like, I'm not entirely worried about that kind of pushback up. There's nothing really that we pushed off of on lower time frames that makes me a little afraid. I am going to move this stop to even now. But what I mean is, like, there's no clear array that I feel like we found support off of here, besides maybe these down close candles, or excuse me, this down close candle that we closed above. We will help drug companies with other nations. I'm just looking at some headlines. So there's some headlines coming out. You have ES has a 5-minute gap here, so that is something I kind of probably have to worry about a little bit. But in an ideal world, ES completely blows through that. So 2-minute gap here needs to save me. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. And if that's the case, I'll probably just end the stream, guys. If we take a break even on this one, I'm just going to call it a day. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather, and I need to, you know, I've been studying for these exams, so I have to do that anyway. So there goes the 2-minute. Nice reaction off that 2-minute. We need follow through off of it. I don't like how much balance there is here, though. Look at all the back and forth with the wicks. That's going to make it very difficult for us to kind of clear through, I think. That's a nice change in state of delivery. It probably should not go above that high. Especially if after that reaction, I don't want to see it, so I'm just going to lock that high in. I mean, it's buying off of this level. I mean, here's like, what is this, the 15-second gap? Cry me a river, cut me a break. I mean, are you kidding me? That would be nuts. I don't really see it. No, I don't really believe it should. There you go. That's a better move. Locking in around 50 points on one of the contracts. So I'm just watching, obviously this 15-minute volume imbalance here. Dow's finally starting to speed up towards these lows, which is nice. If Dow could accelerate to the downside, that's probably good news for my short trade, at least for NQ to kind of try to get into the middle end of this 15-minute fair value gap. At least below the 4-hour low. Here goes Dow. Tariffs are still likely to have significant. Here comes the Fed coming in. Fed Kugler. Tariffs are still likely to have significant effects on the economy. Thank you. Like literally thank you, because I'm short. So I'll take any sort of hawkish headlines you want to give me right now. Progress on disinflation has slowed. That's a pretty rough headline. That should bring us lower. You have Dow kind of creating some liquidity, some engineering some equal lows here. I'd like it to just kind of spike through. I feel like this might be its like last hurrah for like a bounce trade effort, but I don't really see that happening with as heavy as the other markets are. I'm also keeping an eye on the 4-hour chart on another screen. I really want to be cautious as we move into those lows because that's kind of the original draw that I was looking for. Boom. What a move. Let's go, guys. I like them apples. There's 100 points. I'm going to take one off there at 100. You have ES taking the low now, playing catch up. 40, another 30. We'll let it accelerate down, see if it wants to take us there. It's a shame we took that loss where we did. Could have been an absolutely huge day. It's an unnecessary loss in here, was it? Or was it here? I don't even know anymore. Yeah. Stop goes above these highs on the 15-second SMT. Shouldn't go above there if we're going to get a nice flush to the downside. It's going to bother me if I don't take 100 points. Give it a chance. I'll lock in that high. I just, OCD wise, I need to lock in 100 points on this trade. I don't really care about the extra $60 all that much. It's going to bother my head if I don't take 100 points on this last runner. Aiming for new week opening gap to retrace into it. Reddit, it could. I mean, it's like seems like it could be a really heavy day. I'll ride with you. Why not? And I really like these lows. It's, oh, never mind. We got stopped out, so I will not be riding with you. I'm sorry. But I do like these equal lows too, Reddit. I mean, I think it's a great target. I don't know how far we're going to go today. We could, you know what I mean? I wouldn't put anything past it. But how about them apples? Do you see anybody else calling it like that? I mean, I did paper hand it. I'll admit it was a little soft of me up here, but the idea was correct. Give me a break. 2-minute. Sometimes I ask myself, is it even worth the stress of trying to catch absolute tops? Because the problem is like, it comes from a place of fear of missing out on the move, right? A little bit of FOMO. So, but most of the time, like I've noticed, like, there you go, right into target. Trailed a little too aggressively. Original stop placement would have been held, but like I said, it would have bothered me if I didn't take 200. And honestly, I mean, I'm like, after it gets here, I'm probably gonna trail it to this gap, and it probably won't go there either. But whatever. What was I even talking about? Oh, right. Sometimes I don't even know if it's worth trying to catch the top because look at this sick retracement that it gave. I mean, like there's like right into a 2 minute fair value. Like that's a sweet retracement. So like you wouldn't even have to stress about like the problem with catching the top, right? Is this market really fucking imploding? Excuse my language. Sorry. Freaking wow. Anyway, the thing with catching tops though is like, because then like what you have to deal with is like, oh, nicely in profit, then you take a fat retracement, 50% of your profits, just for it to continue. When in reality, I could have just watched it, then gotten in here, risked the high. I don't know. It's hard to balance. I'm okay with the way I trade. I think realistically, what I should be doing is I should be partialing heavy as it moves into my favor, and then leaving runners and then re-adding. I've tried that also before, and you kind of feel stupid if you re-add and it comes against you, and now you're even on the trade. But I guess you have to think of it like if I was going to like this initial move is all gravy, and if I can come out even after a quote unquote losing trade, right? Like taking this trade here, and say it comes up and stops you out, then I guess that's a win. But yeah, it needs more experience to catch it perfectly. Yeah, you do. I mean, like, again, it's the only reason why I was able to take the trade up here is because I've seen this kind of, I always say, like, I've seen this movie before. Like, I've seen the movie before. Yeah, there was S&T on the low end here or on the hourly, but if you looked at all the other, like, just the structure of it, it was pretty weak. And if you look at the 4 hour, it makes sense for the 4 hour to, stab into here after all that 4 hour expansion. So you have that kind of going for you. Um, and I did have a small stop. I think I, had I taken this trade, okay, before I got stopped out, I don't know, somewhere down here. If I were green, this is a much easier trade to hold. But because I was red and I was with size, 10 micros, it becomes a little bit more difficult to hold. But overall, I'm okay with the way I managed it. We still ended up making more than what we had originally. But yeah, that's gonna close it for I'm gonna close it for the stream. Like I said, I am not feeling too well, so I'm glad I was able to take a couple more trades for you guys. If anybody wants, well, I mean, you guys know why I took this trade, right? Like I explained it sort of. If you want a better explanation, join the Discord and ask, and I'll do like a little bit more of a write up. But long story short, we have the 4 hour draw. ES is clearly strong. We have the new 15-minute candle opening at 10:15. Comes up, and as soon as we find resistance in this old discounted 5-minute fair value gap, which also happens to be a 15-minute fair value gap as well, pretty much. It's a little bit lower, but like say if say I go here, pretty much comes right up to that midpoint of it, just shy of it, and sort of pukes it low. You have failure swings, ES stabbed up above them each time, and Q showing ultimate weakness. And then you had all these equal low Dow draw. And as soon as Dow starts to kind of roll over here, that kind of makes me confident. And as soon as Dow starts to roll over here, I'm very confident. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. It was finally we had a good day. I mean, the last Thursday and Friday last week were rough, dude. I mean, just ridiculous. Was it Thursday, Friday? Or was it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I don't know. Regardless, it was just a disgusting sort of week. Tough week. But anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I will be seeing you tomorrow for CPI. We'll see what happens. Be safe out there. Don't expect too much from the market today. There is a lot of news, but we do have CPI tomorrow and some other news drivers. So I mean, we've moved a lot both overnight and in the New York session now. So be cautious, probably size down, and yeah, live to fight another day. That's all I have to say. Yeah, Retta, Fridays are unpreferable. They suck. Sometimes they're great, like, and then other times it's like, why did I just ruin my weekend for the chance at making 250 bucks? So, all right. Good day across the accounts. We'll cut it there. Take care, guys. I guess I could leave you with a level. Not really. There's nothing else for me to leave you. I have this and I have this stuff. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys for coming out. Like I said, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great rest of your day. And